Morning. I think it's time for a small update. I just come back. I've been back for 3 days from a 5 or 6 days trip where I went running with my friends. A trip that I usually do once every 4 months. It's like three times a year, and that in effect means I've already done this trip 3 or 4 times while I've had to be on some sort of protocol. Um, Last time I went was actually only 2 months ago when my son was here visiting. And the denominator for all of these trips has been that I've had a very hard time keeping my protocols. And actually, because I just had my PSA taken previously, I kind of decided more or less that I wanted to take a break from everything. Um, but this time I decided obviously that I had to push through because I can't on a 4 week period between each PSA test. I cannot pull out a full week of not doing anything. It's like 25% of my protocol that is gone. If I want results, I have to be a little bit more persistent than that. So this time I really made a serious effort, and I managed to be on 100% protocol as far as the ISO goes. I did skip a few days on my wormwood because I planned it so that I'm 3 days on, 4 days off, and so I just basically planned it to be those 4 days off plus whatever it took for me to get back home. And but my fenbendazole protocol, I'm proud to say that I managed to keep it on a 50% because normally I just drop out of the sky. And one of the reasons is that I gotta bring my ivermectin, I gotta bring my fenbendazole, and I gotta bring something to mix it in and mix it with, and I gotta bring my DMSO, and it becomes quite cumbersome to bring all that along for the occasion that you are going to dine out, and then you gotta have that as well. Now I did manage to do that once a day. It was typically my lunchtime, where I had it with me, or the breakfast, just to make sure I got it that day. Like the day we ran, we took off. I think it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and we were back 9 p.m. So during that day, it's pretty impossible for me to do anything with the fenbendazole. So anyway, it's been hard. So it's also had me thinking, how do I do that in the future? Because I want to be able to do it in the future consistently. And since the main obstacle for me is to have a way to bring it along, to make it less cumbersome, to make it less complicated. And I found a way to do it now. I think I have, and I'll show a video how I do and deal with my fenbendazole ivermectin protocol. But since I came home, I've also added something else. I have added something that I've hesitated to add because I didn't know how much I should use. I got a couple of these 120 tablets, capsules in each container, and it's a 10 milligram melatonin. Normally people they take 2 or 3 milligram of melatonin, so 10 milligram is a very, very high dose. But I'm taking 10 milligram just before, or an hour before I go to bed. But I've read up on it, and it seems that the dose is supposed to be 1 to 10 milligram per kilo of body weight, which means I should be at somewhere between 807 and 8,700. Can it be real? No, I should be between 87 and 807 milligrams of melatonin every day. I can't remember how much they cost, but they were not cheap. And I'm definitely not going to opt for a solution with these capsules if I've got to get to that amount. So I've got to find the powder version somewhere. I have been looking, and it's not to be found in Thailand, so I have to import it from somewhere. But I also had to import the fenbendazole powder from Germany. So yeah, there's no way around it. Um, but whether it is because I got kicked out of my rhythm on my trip, or whether it's because I started on the melatonin, I'm not sure. But by God, I'm tired these days. Really. I started the carnivore diet, and on the carnivore diet, I have no need for a nana nap. And I did eventually, when I reached 1,000 milligram plus on my RSO, the cannabinoids. I did sometimes feel the need for a nana nap, and would be nice. But after starting this, or after coming back from my trip, oh man, I need 2 nana naps a day. So I'm very hesitant to jump it up to more than those 10 milligrams. But at the same time, I have heard that papers say at this level it is tiring. But when you go higher, like 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams a day, some people experience that it's actually become energizing. So it might have the opposite effect if you go much higher than that. But I will have to do a little bit of research further into the subject, and I will also have to adjust. So I will not go up further for another few days, and then I'll maybe make it 20 milligram before I go to bed. But a lot of research have shown that it is specifically very good against breast and prostate cancer. So it's one of these things where I'm thinking, why didn't I come across this earlier? But hey, there's always a time for things, and this is the time for melatonin. So very excited, very excited. But as I say, I'm very, very fatigued now. Do I feel any improvement? Not really, and sometimes I am a bit worried because I don't. I mean, my water flow is not changing. In fact, if it is in any way changing, it's getting a little bit worse. I'm also getting a little bit more paranoid in terms of if I feel something is bugging me. I don't have any pain or anything like that, but I am nervous about metastases because we are talking about a cancer that's out of the box. And so there is a very, very, very high and urgent demand that all these things that I do, they actually work. But I've been on the full protocol of RSO for 6 weeks now, and that's another thing I have to mention. Previously, I just couldn't feel anything when I took the tablets. Or maybe I could feel a very faint little bit of something. But now, my body is clearly within the last week or so has been saturated. Because now, when I take a suppository, I can feel it. And even worse so, if I take, let's say, 10 drops of my blue haze, it's a 10%er. If I take 10 drops of that, so that's like 50 milligrams of cannabinoids, then I am stoned for at least 12 hours. I can take it in the evening before I go to bed at 7, and I wake up in the morning and I'm still stoned. So although I do firmly believe that I need it both ways, I'm now have to be very, very cautious as whether I'm taking the oral version, because I can't do that along with my suppositories if I have to be thinking or driving or anything like that. So it's quite interesting to experience that the change after like 5 or 6 weeks of really serious use of cannabinoids is when you reach the level, or at least when I reach the level where my body seems saturated. So it's also going to be very interesting to see how that impacts my PSA when we get to the next measurement, the 20th. So yes, that's the change for now. 10 milligrams every night of my melatonin. Until next time, as always, stay healthy.